Welcome back. So today we're going to discuss fraud in marketplaces.
Ooh.
Two-sided marketplaces. So there's
Okay.
a number of variants, but the general premise is there's a buyer and there's a seller. And there's a number of different marketplaces we all use.
Auction sites.
Auction sites, ride share,
Ride shares.
renting a room perhaps,
Oh,
or
yes,
sharing
yes,
a house.
yes.
So
You may not know this, but I used to use those house renting sites to run drops.
interesting.
Yeah, so I would have my stolen goods delivered to one of these houses that,
Well, they are real house addresses.
they are real addresses and no one's there.
Yeah. So did you rent it ahead of time, or you just saw that it was up for renting and then you
Nah, see, you don't even need to rent it. What you
right.
can do is you simply go to the site and you see what the listings are. You get the address, and that becomes your drop address. At that
Okay,
point.
so no need to even spend money on it.
No need to spend money, and no
Interesting.
one's there, and you can simply have the items delivered there and get it.
So what's a way to combat that for these?
That's an interesting question. I really don't know.
Oh, okay.
And hey, I'm going to be honest with you. If I don't know something, I will say it. All right.
That's
But
a 0 day then.
It's a zero.
Uh-oh.
Well, I don't know if it's a 0 day because most fraudsters know how to run drops. You have
Right.
to have, unless we're going to talk about metaverse fraud.
Well, that's another day. That's another day. We'll come back to that one.
Exactly. But yeah, I use drops. You talk about ride sharing. I'm well aware of human fraud farms that will book the rides for you. So I spent $28 on my ride share from San Francisco Airport to Arcos offices. Instead of spending $28, I could use one of these fraud farms and they would charge me $5.
And so they're using a stolen payment card, things like that.
Taking over an account, anything else like that. You
and
see
they're booking
this.
the car for you.
Exactly.
Dropping it up to where you are, and they put your address in it.
Right.
Interesting.
And marketplace fraud is actually where my fraud begins online. Found an auction site, listed a fake Beanie Baby for sale, and that's where it began. Then from there, I started to list items that didn't exist. I would say I had cameras or laptops, and I would steal the money from people. So you have that. You have the type of fraud where someone's looking to launder money. So they will sell the item and then buy the item as well, or they'll launder stolen credit card details through this.
Well, that goes back to an interesting thing we've discussed in a different segment, which is trust. So this is where things like reviews come into play. Because if you're just using the store to buy things from yourself and there's no legitimate looking reviews, your store's probably going to get flagged as like, this is a bit fishy. So what do? They go and create fake accounts and write some reviews,
You
right?
write the reviews, and some of the stats on some of these sites, 80% of the reviews are fake reviews. So and I read a story just yesterday about these sellers selling these kind of hacked SD cards. So they'll sell a 64 gigabyte card as a 1 terabyte card, and they've got all these fake reviews that are saying, oh no, the cards are real, the cards are real. But what happens? It destroys trust with not the seller, but the company who's running that site. Because trust is, have I said it before? I'm sure I have. Trust is gained in droplets, but it's lost in buckets. Once you destroy trust with your customers, man, you have a hard time regaining that.
Recouping is difficult. So, and then I think from like a mitigation standpoint, this is an interesting problem because businesses, you've got to do a much deeper degree of verification. So that's where things like KYC, AML, that world kind of comes into play.
Which feeds into traditional identity theft and synthetic fraud, which we talked about.
That's right. And then on the consumer side, so stopping things like fake reviews, which you're expecting consumer to write, you've got to look for other kind of signatures. Are they coming from the same kind of devices? Are they coming from the same kind of time zones? Are they using proxies? Those
Same
kind of
IP
things.
range,
Same
everything
IP
else,
address.
right.
That's right. Same ISP.
Same type of language being used. A lot of
That's
people,
right.
you're the same person writing the same reviews
Yep.
over and over. They're going to repeat things.
Yeah, one of the interesting signals we found was because they're using proxies, they're also using fake device fingerprints because they don't want you to catch their device. The time zone of the device and the time zone of where the proxy is actually don't match. Whereas good consumers, they do match. So there's signals like that you can look at as well.
Right.
So that's what we have for you today on marketplace fraud. Tune in for the next segment.